announce that we are starting. Okay. Okay, last double check. I think it's working correctly. Okay, last 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, it's working correctly. Please say something. Okay, last 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
Hello, how are you?
1, 2, it's working correctly. Please say something. Okay, last 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
Hello,
Okay,
how are you?
perfect. Okay. I will also share the Steam page of your newest work in progress game Unedited in my chat so people can wishlist it and see it. Okay, let me sit into my original position here. Okay, let me know if you can start, Vladimir. Let me know.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So welcome everyone in the very new episode of my Dev Live show. Today I'm joined with Vladimir, who made so many awesome games like the Black Book and the Mooseman. He is also working on a very new Slavic-oriented game, Unedited. First of all, like I'm always saying, I would like to say that I'm very thankful and very honored that you joined us for today's episode of my Dev Live show. And like I'm always saying, let's start with a little bit of introduction. So please introduce yourself for us.
Hello. Thank you for inviting us. Actually, it's my pleasure to be here because, not a lot of people interested in the backbone of the development of how the game is made.
So I'm
happy to be
I
here.
know that. Yeah.
Happy to be here and talk about the game and even promote it a bit, right? So
true. It matters. Very true.
It's cool, yeah. So my name is Vladimir Beletsky. I'm the developer from Martyoshka Studio. So we're founded in 2015, so 10 years ago, I think. And our first game is The Mooseman. I was a game designer, artist, and you name it, so everything except music and sound design, which was handled by Mikhail Shvachko.
Okay.
So that game was released in 2017. And then we started like serious business. So the first game was like a part-time job. And I made it while working in Alternativa Game Studio. So I worked on free-to-play game called Tanky X and Tanky Online.
Okay.
So I was a product manager there, a software developer, and so after the release of Mooseman, I got some funds and I quit my job, like day job, and started working on Black Book. And we developed it for quite some time, 4 years, I believe. 3.5, something like that. We released it in 2021. So on that project, I was a writer, game designer, programmer. So except artists, I did like small artists tasks there, like card drawings on the card. So that was mostly handled by a guy from the studio. So after that, we started working on One-Eyed in 2022, summer, after we finished Black Book, after we finished DLC for the Black Book, we started this horror project. And now, thankfully, it's coming to an end. On this project, I'm as well a writer, game designer, programmer, not an artist.
I see.
I'm like an indie developer, so I wear many hats. I can
many
do
hats.
many things.
Yeah. True. Very true. Thank you for that interaction. I appreciate that. It's like I'm always asking in the past episodes of my Dev Live show. That's the same question goes to you as well. What was your very first contact with video games as a player, if you remember those times of your past? Let's turn back the time to your past a bit.
Oh yeah, that's the most pleasant things to remember, the games of the past.
True. Very true.
Yeah. So the first game that I remember is actually a Pong, Pong clone, a Soviet clone of Pong console, with analog sticks.
Okay.
It was made by Electronica, I believe, and it was crazy. I didn't understand what was going on and what is this cool electronic toy. I played it when I was a guest of someone. I came to visit someone, my friend, and I saw it. And later, like a couple of years later, I believe I was like 5-ish when I saw this Electronica Pong clone. Later, I got a present from my parents. It was a Nintendo Entertainment System clone, Dandy. So that was my first console I played, and my first game was Load Runner and Super C, Super Contra. Of these games, I remember. And then it started downhill, like I got a PC, I got a PlayStation, like Sega Mega Drive and stuff like that, so I played everything.
Love that, yeah.
A lot of games, so up until now I'm still a gamer. So.
I see. I appreciate that, by the way, that you tried all the platforms, not just one. I always appreciate that, yeah. By the way, go for it, sorry.
So after the PC, so I didn't have, I couldn't try all the games that I wanted when I was a kid, so you had to buy these cartridges. Even they were pirated in Russia, they still were too expensive for me.
True. I remember those times. Yeah.
When the emulation started, like in 2000s, I was able finally to play Super Nintendo games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
From that point of your life, by the way, no, go for that. Sorry.
That's it. I just.
Okay. So from that point of your life, when you realized that you have this huge passion for video games, what was that light bulb moment or ticking in your head that you realized that, hey, I love playing video games, but I also would like to work on video games and create video games? What was that very first moment when you realized this feeling in yourself?
So I should have realized this early, actually. I think.
Okay.
I started a bit late.
Regrets.
Regrets. Yeah, I should have started early. 10 years more, probably. Okay. 3 more projects. Yeah. So first, I started, dabbling in changing video game files when I had MS-DOS PC.
Okay.
I from Northern Commander, you could press F4 and you could edit binary files. So I tried that. I even managed. I wanted to localize some games that I played. So so I've tried that. It didn't work well. So some words were mangled and the build was broken because basically I was editing the binary build of the game. So that's ended early, and later in the school I tried to buy. I bought a book about game development. It was a book that you could develop your own dungeon crawler or something, but I didn't understand any of it. I didn't know much of programming. It was all written in C, and there should be a CD with the source code of the game, but I didn't have it. I just had a book.
The book.
Yeah, so I didn't understand it. And later in university, I made my first game, which was a clone of Galaxian on Pascal.
Okay.
So it was cool. I loved coding it, but I didn't, think about making a video game like a job. I thought that it was for some, gods of programming or something. So I didn't even think about that it's possible.
I see.
So later I started working in a different sphere on a plant, and one day I read an article on Russian IT website about a guy making money from Flash video games. I remember that time when there was a big video game sites like Newgrounds, Congregate. They had a lot of Flash games, and you could make money on that website by making a Flash video game, posting on Flash game license, and then the highest bidder will buy the game exclusive license. Yeah, so I wrote my own Flash game using tutorials and stuff like that from the internet. So I sold it for $1,000, I think.
Nice.
That was the beginning of my career. So after that, I thought that I should learn some programming professionally. So I changed my career, went to programming. It was kind of strange. I was a bit old. Like I don't know. I was like 26 or something when it happened, and everyone else was working with me and was a junior developer, and other developers were like 18 years old, and they were like mid or senior level. And I was asking them like dumb questions. How can I compile this and stuff like that? And they were like, "Oh my god, so stupid old guy." So, anyways, I managed this job and worked for a year or something, and then I found a job in game development. So I sent my CV, sent this game that I made for Flash, and actually I was making like Flash games, not commercially, but like a freelance. So a guy told me like make this slot game on Flash with technical documentation, so I made it. And with all that luggage of knowledge, I came to a real gaming company, this tanky alternative games, not a junior, but a real medium level software developer, actually. So from that, I told her, so I worked there for a couple of years, I don't know, 3, 4, and then I started making my own games.
I see. I respect that, by the way, that you went down on the road for your passion chasing, even at the later ages of your life. How did it felt for you? Like you mentioned that you were the oldest there, and all the young people like had more knowledge than you when you started learning. What feeling was there learning all these by
it was uncomfortable, for sure it was uncomfortable because I felt stupid, like everyone knows this stuff.
Yeah.
And at that time you didn't have all these LLMs like ChatGPT and stuff like that.
True. You had to learn the hard way, right? So
you had to learn. You had to either read the documentation, and sometimes, most of the times, it wasn't enough because each project has its own specifics. So you had to go to a real person and talk to the real person. Yeah. So it was a bit uncomfortable, but it was all right. I made friends with everyone in the end.
True. That's very nice.
Yeah.
But
when I
go for that. Sorry.
When I went to this a real game development company, I wasn't a junior anymore, so there were guys my age that were on the same position, so I caught up something.
I see. So you caught up with them, yeah. But it really shows like it's never too late to study and educate yourself and learn, right? So it really shows your story that it's never too late. You mentioned at the very beginning of our interview, before I went asking my very first question, that like you worked for this company before you started your own passion projects, right? And you also said that you have regrets that you haven't started like 10 years earlier. What would be the causing effect, if you could mention anything that is coming to your mind that stopped you from like starting it earlier, 10 years earlier, like you mentioned, and also like jumping in front of the train, if I can say this, and with your own passion projects, but not for working for other companies? What stopped you from these two things, or these two?
Well, I think it's quite easy but it has to be like a realization or something. It's easy to start developing video games, but as I said, I never thought that it is a possibility. I thought that it's beyond my wildest dreams to make video games.
I see.
So in the end, I just started it because I wanted to make some money, right, on this Flash game.
True.
I just started and it happened in the end. So it appeared that it wasn't as hard as I painted it myself.
I see. So do you think like with knowledge, you also got the confidence on the journey when you like ended up having your own games and making your own games?
Well, not really. You see, it's not necessary to have a great big knowledge to make good video games. In my case,
I agree,
first games weren't good actually, but I learned as I progressed, and still my games are far from perfect. But there are like guys that are not super professional software developers, so their code may be lacking somewhere, but still they're making games that are incredibly fun.
Yeah, I agree on that.
So it's not a necessity to be a professional in any field. You just have to try yourself. Maybe you'll be successful even as a beginner. Who knows? It's possible.
I see. Okay. Switching to a more personal question, which also will tie to this topic that we were just talking now. Were your family members, parents, and close friends supportive about this decision that you been through this journey and you started making games, even for other companies and even for yourself, by yourself and by your team?
Well, yeah, everyone was quite supportive. Well, when I started my IT career, I was working on a plant. It wasn't that good of a job. I didn't have a big salary or anything.
I see.
I didn't have a big career perspectives on this plant, and so everyone was all right. So all right, go for it. Maybe it will work for you. Then when I changed my IT job, like regular coding, to game development, it was a no-brainer because the salary was up in the sky compared to my IT job. It was a dream offer or something for me at that time.
I see.
So I had very weighty arguments for my family, right? So how could they disagree? But when I decided to leave my regular work, not everyone was not supportive, but they had their doubts because it's a risk, right? So you start in your company.
Sure.
Or it may work out, it may not work out. So someone had doubts, but no one told me no, stay.
I see.
I was a grown man by the time. I see.
True. You have your own right to choose whatever you want. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Would you do it anyway, by the way, if you did not have this support, this mental support from your parents, relatives, and friends? Are you that stubborn with your passion? Let's ask this question. Are you that passionate about video games and making video games that you would do it anyway without this support?
Well, I don't know. I love video games. I love developing them, but who knows if everyone would disapprove of me making video games? Maybe I don't know. I'm not that strong-willed,
I see. So you need that support, which is okay, because I need support too in my life when it comes to passion project. That's why I ask. Yeah. Okay. You also mentioned that you worked on so many projects, right? For other companies and for your own company as well. When you switch from one project to another and you leave the past project behind and you start working on a new one, how hard or easy it is to leave the past project behind?
Well, let me speak about my latest projects, right? So the Mooseman, Black Book. So actually it's easy to leave the past project because you're working 3 years on one project. It's usually minimum 8 hours per day, right?
True.
Yes, often it is more 10-ish or something.
It's not a regular job, let's say, right?
Yeah. So especially after the release, it's hectic usually. And you have to work 24/7 or something.
I see.
And you play this game non-stop, so you play it hours on end. Black Book, for example, I have on Steam recorded 300, 400 hours, something like that. And it's the end of the project, right? So after I implemented Steamworks SDK, that it started recording the playtime. So I don't know, thousands of hours. And you get so tired of the project, you can't even make yourself launch this game after all this time. Especially because this is a narrative game, everything that's going on in the game. Every word that every character speaks. You can recite it, you know every line of code of your game. And it's really tiresome. That's why I'm changing the genres all the time. So I finished the platformer Mooseman. I started RPG. I finished RPG. I can't handle anymore this genre. I started first-person horror. So, next time we'll come back to Black Book, probably make the sequel, and it'll be back to RPG. But we had a time to rest from the project, so it's easy to switch.
It makes sense. Yeah.
But at the other end of the scale, the other side of the coin, you have this overhead. Like if I was making RPGs all the time, I would have this backbone, source code backbone that I could leverage easily, change assets, like change a few lines of code for new mechanics, and you have a new game. In our case, we have to learn everything. When you switch genres, it's new set of tools, new code, new everything, new skills, because level design is different, everything is different. So each genre has its own quirks, and it's hard it's hard to work on the same genre because you get tired. It's hard to work on a new genre because you have to learn everything. Pick your poison.
True. Very true. Yeah. Very true. Okay. Throughout the projects, speaking of your own projects, very own projects, what was your favorite part, by the way, of doing those projects? Of the process itself, of course, of the work process itself.
Well, I like research, so our studio is.
I knew it. I wanted to talk about this topic, but we'll discuss it. Yeah. I knew it. Yeah.
So we're a bit different from other studios in the sense that we do a deep research of the setting. We read some books and stuff, talk with ethnographists.
All of your games shows that. That's what I wanted to say, that all of your games shows that you guys really do a perfect research about Slavic culture, and it really shows that you're passionate about it. That's and that's very important to my heart, because I feel like learning about every culture in the world and giving out to the players, or even if it would be just a book, throughout the book, it's important, right? Because we have to keep those cultural things in our life, in my opinion. That's what makes us human, right? So
true, and that's really interesting to learn about all this stuff. So
true.
It's fun. It's usually during pre-production, so it's half a year of reading and writing ideas. Not a big pressure, but then again, I'm thinking, oh man, I should start developing something. The time is running out.
Yeah, just reading, right?
Yeah. Well, is this a job or what is it? So yeah, that's fun. I love coding as well. I love algorithms and stuff like that. So I love to go in this programming flow where I just spew out code non-stop. So that's cool. But nowadays it's a bit harder on this Licho project because there's not that much code in this project. It's because it's a narrative and scripted adventure. Everything is scripted. Mostly I set up everything inside the engine with finite state machines and stuff like that. So I have a dream of working on more low-level code with good architecture, good algorithm, stuff like that. So next project probably.
I see. Spoiler time. I see. Okay. You have spoken about your favorite parts of the process itself. What about your least favorite parts of the process itself when it comes to your games? That you don't like doing, or you're not into that much?
It depends. Sometimes you hate one thing, sometimes another. When I worked on Black Book, I hated level design. Just making blocking stuff and placing interactions. Man, on this project I had to do it all my whole time on this Licho. So I started to actually kind of enjoy it. Now I know how to do it. Also, maybe least favorite part is when there's time in development when you don't know what to do. Like you have this design document, some screenplay, and it just doesn't work. You just doesn't know how to make a game out of all these ideas. And this is bad because you procrastinate, you sit in front of a computer and not knowing what to do. You don't have this flow, right?
True.
So you have to try different things. So you make one mechanic, you throw it away. You make one level, you throw it away. So
it can be painful, I suppose, right?
Yeah. Sometimes it's like a big chunks of game that you have to throw away. So
True.
Not my favorite part of game development, but inevitable. So, because not everything that you make is gold, right?
True, very true. Yeah. Okay. We have spoken about the topic, and you brought out the topic as your favorite part, right? The culture in the games, the Slavic culture. So I wanted to ask this: have you always knew that you would like to do this very deep research for your games and to have this very deep Slavic culture in your games? Because, like you said, it's very original and unique to your games, and it's rare that developers put so much effort in a research about a culture that they would like to put in front of the players, right? Have you always knew that you would like to develop these kinds of games, or it became your baby, let's say, on the way on your journey?
Not really. So when we started our first own project, the Mooseman, so the premise was make something unique, right? Make something unique.
I see.
And what should we make unique? We started thinking like, all right, we have this perm animal style. No one knows about it. It's cool, but no one knows about it. This will be the first game about perm animal style, right? So let's make it about that. So then we started making it. Then we were thinking like, well, all right, what should we make inside the game? So I started reading all this stuff just to understand what the hell this permanent style is about, because we wanted to make a game about it. So that's how the research started. And I have like an academic background, so I have a PhD and in economics. So I use that skills to leverage that skills to for research. So I made a research, and when we released the game, so people actually loved this level of research.
Yeah.
And on the next project, I thought like, all right, if everyone loves this authenticity of research, let's do it again. Yeah. So maybe we have some fans already who love our games because of that, because you see, because of the research. So we kind of continue it and don't plan to stop. So while we love to do research, while our players love to learn about all this new stuff, and but still, we are doing this research. We talk with the specialists in the field, but still, our games is not like a textbook. So you can learn about stuff from our games. It's by the most part it's authentic, but not 100%. So you can't write a dissertation on Russian ethnography by playing our games. So you have to understand that, but still it's just a video game.
Yeah, but players, like you said, appreciate, and I saw that too, and I appreciate it too when I played the Black Book, and it's important in my opinion, like I said, because by that you educate players, right? Or just take the player's head, right? That hey, it's there. You can learn about it, and I think it's important in these days, especially.
But then again, our goal is not to make like educational games.
Yeah, I understand it. Yeah, I understand it. It just goes with the flow of making these games.
So our goal is to make fun game first and foremost, and the knowledge thingies are made so that it'll be fun, right? Inside the game.
Yeah.
We don't want to mess with anyone's head. We don't shove this knowledge down the player's throat.
Learn.
No. Our goal is first and foremost to make a fun game, but it's interesting how you can at least try to make a fun game while leveraging this real mythology, real folk stuff. Why not, right? If you spend your time playing the game, why not learn something?
Yeah,
it's a benefit.
It really reminds me of those old school point and click games which were educational, if you remember those on the PC. Like this methodical educational system games, right? Which were fun, designed to be fun, like you said, your games similar to that. But they were still teaching kids or adults, right, to some new things, even if it was a language skill that it was teaching, or even anything other. Yeah, it's very interesting that it's holding your hand, but not really at the same time.
Well, see, I think players kind of they feel it. If you try to teach them something, they feel it.
True.
And and it's like pushing them away from the game. If your goal is to teach the player, it will push them away. It will alienate the player. So you have to keep in mind that you first and foremost you're making a game. So if it's not fun, throw it away. That's our not motto or anything, but that's our mindset when we develop the game. So first, the fun is at the top of the priorities, and then everything else. And if these sources, this authenticity doesn't go well with the fun, we have to throw it away. And no one can tell us that you have to keep it because we're independent, right?
True. Very true. What was the origin of this decision, by the way, that you mentioned that you are an independent studio, that you have never went on the way of having a background that is supporting you financially?
Well, when I was a product manager, I hated when I had to make someone else's tasks, right? So I wanted to be independent because of that. I wanted to make my own decision, because by the time when I was a product manager on the project, I thought that I had a good understanding how to make a video game.
I see.
And the decisions that were given to me from the top management were not the decision that I always agreed.
I see.
So I wanted to be independent. And even after that, so after the Mooseman, we could find some investments or something. But then again, I would have some top management that I'll have to report to.
True. It's like you were working for a boss, right?
Yeah. It's same with publishers. Still, it's true. It depends on the publisher, but some publishers are like a boss, so you have to make everything the same. So I'm trying to stay independent as much as I can, but if we run out of money, what can you do? We'll search for investors or publishers or something.
I see. Okay. Switching back to, again, a more personal field of questions, I believe in this statement of mine that every one of us creators who create our own craft, we always tend to put our inner self into the craft we make, even if it's about experiencing loss, love, negative or positive things in our past. Is this statement of mine true for your work when you work on your own video games? And if your answer is yes, what examples could you bring us to the table? What examples could you name if your answer is yes?
Well, it's a creative industry, right? You inevitably bring a part of yourself to the video game.
Agreed.
But in our games, it's not like the theme that we push from or make it important. So, like I said, first we make something unique, right? So it has to be unique. No one should make this something like that before. Perfectly, it'll be everything unique. Like setting we nailed it. Like mechanics, that's the hard part. In Black Book, we leverage the Slay the Spire style of gameplay. We tried to come up with something unique, but it didn't work. We ran out of time, and now we have a more maybe unique something. So we try to come up with something new. But these personal things, not consciously, it's just subconscious. So everyone does his own task, whatever you have to do. But you won't learn about me personally by playing the game. So every character is a bit separated from myself. It's not about me. The games are not about me. First, it's about fun and not our own personalities as developers. There are references to ourselves, of course. Like in Black Book, there's a guy called Fetka, right? The harmonist.
Okay.
And this is a portrait of our composer, so it's him. I appear as a folklorist in the 6th chapter of the game. So there are parts that's references to our studio, but they're not that personal, I think.
I see.
Not really.
I see. In the future, by the way, would you like to make a very personal game with your very own message?
I don't think that I'm that an interesting person to talk about my own experiences.
Don't say that. Don't say that. I don't agree with that statement. Everyone
Well,
is
I don't think so.
interesting. Okay.
It's not that interesting, so it's not as interesting as folklore.
Yeah, but
so,
I assume you have messages to tell to the people, right? Because everyone has a message to tell throughout the creative process, right?
You know, no, not really, actually, because I don't think that it's a place of an artist to message anything. So I think, this photographer Todd Heido, and he says that the responsibility of an artist is to electrify the air so that the viewer or player in our case will grab his own message from the work of art. So we try to just like that, we'll electrify the air enough so that the player will come out with his own message at the end of the game. So it was like that in Black Book, for example. You can sing, you can do bad stuff, or you can do good stuff. And what message does the game says? We don't say that this is necessarily bad.
Yeah, I understand it. Yeah.
So it's like that in Liho. So the central question of the game is what this fairy tale is about, right? So we don't know, as developers, after reading all this literature, we don't know what the fairy tale is about. And no one knows for sure. Like, there are different versions of explanations. We can talk about that later if you want. But we give like our own version of the meaning of the fairy tale in the notes that you can find in the game. But it's not 100% sure, and the characters themselves, they don't know. And in the end, the game ends. It's basically the same fairy tale that was written, right? So the player experiences this narrative of this fairy tale once more inside the game. And what will he make of that in the end? What will be his thoughts? That is left for the player to decide. So what was the meaning of all that? So we gave this electricity, and now it's up to player to find his own meaning if he wants to, right? Of course.
I see. No, with this statement I agree, but I still feel like on the other side of the coin, it's like when the creator is like creating something, there will be always a feeling or a, like thought in the creative process, which if a consumer, let's say, even if it's a book or a music or a movie or a game, whatever, a player will be able to resonate with the same like thought or message. I remember I always bring up this topic, this memory of mine with my literature teacher. I was like discussing it with her because she always said that us human beings will be never able to understand the exact same message or the feeling that a creator had when he, for example, or she wrote a poem, because I was always into poems. Even still now I'm writing and reading poems, and I disagreed with her because like I'm feeling that there are rare occasions when you are able to like feel the same feeling because you are in the shoes of that creative person, because you might experience the same things in your life, and it can happen, right? Because like if you're experiencing, for example, loss of a father figure like I had, and I'm like reading a book or a game or like a poem about it, I will probably feel pretty much the same. Not exactly the same, 100% the same, but pretty much the same. And I think it can happen. So I agree on one side that yes, it can electrify, like you mentioned, feelings and you can think about it. But I also feel like every creator has his like very own deep thoughts about the creative process he had and why he did that, right? So yeah.
Yeah, well, I understand the thoughts, but you see, different creators are different,
True,
right?
true. No, I agree on that. That's why I said that it's two sides of the same coin, like always. Yeah.
So in our case, it's like more of an unconscious effort, like
Yeah,
we have
true.
our own experiences, and we put that inside the game.
Yeah,
of course.
true.
Some creators like leverage it, so they think about all their personal emotions and put it inside their work. Well, that's not our case.
I see.
And what the player will feel in the end, so who knows? And what did the artist thought while creating it? Also, like your teacher said, the author is dead, right? So whatever you make of the work of art, it's up to you.
Yes, yes, yes. But that's why I said that the real beauty comes and shines when you can like connect on a 100% level of understanding the artist itself. Because I feel like it comes from the melancholic vibe of like the sad artist who would like to be recognized, you know, in the past. And it's the same to our age as well, because there are a lot of creators who like might not be go public about this feeling of like, hey, I would like to be recognized, but it's still there, right? Because you would like to have the players understand your vision, your thoughts, even if you don't, like I said, go public and talk about it. So it's important, in my opinion, to connect. Yeah. Okay. I still believe, by the way, that you will someday make a personal game somehow. I still have a feeling. So if it happens, let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Yeah. Who knows? Okay. So let's talk about One-Eyed Echo. Are you, by the way, planning to release this game on other platforms as well? Because you mentioned at the very beginning that you played on so many platforms. Is it going to be a PC only game, or do you guys have any plans for other platforms as well, or it's spoiler time and you cannot talk about it?
No, we don't have a publisher, see, so we can talk about anything. So I don't know at the moment. We don't have dev kits right now.
I see.
So we're capable of porting it ourselves, because I personally ported Black Book to PlayStation and Xbox.
And I'm very thankful for that. Yeah, I have it in my collection.
Now you played it on
yes.
console. Thankfully, you managed to play it.
Yes, why? Yeah, why this?
Didn't encounter any bugs. Any bugs. I mean.
Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes there were some bugs. So yeah, we'll see if maybe we'll get some dev kits and port it, but it depends on the project success. So if no one will play it on Steam, right? So
no,
then what's the
point? That won't happen. I promise you that won't happen.
We'll see.
I see.
Yeah, hopefully it won't happen. But if it be kind of popular, then yeah, for sure we'll try either with our own means.
I see.
And that's the good scenario, because we'll be able to control everything. I will find some publisher, who will do it for us.
I see. Okay. Switching back to the topic of every game that you created, what was the creation start process, and what was the inspiration behind those games when you started working on different games?
Well, it's different with each project, right? Okay. So with the Moosman, it was like an idea to make a small game for a jam, for game jam.
Okay.
And the starting point was this uniqueness stuff that we talked about. So we made a small prototype and then decided to make it into a full Steam release. So we worked for a couple of years. With the Black Book, the idea was to make a Steam game from the beginning, a big game. And the idea was to make it based on these Beletskas. These are, in Russian it's called Beletsky. It's small stories about encountering demons, devils, spirits. So this is basically a form of magical realism. They are told not like fairy tales, but like a real occurrences, like UFO sighting, for example.
I see.
So that was the starting point, the inspiration. And in the case of Liho, it was kind of in the middle, so I wanted to make something based on fairy tales because it's a different medium as compared to these Beletskas. And we wanted to make, again, a small game, like not for a jam, but maybe like a couple of months, like project for a couple of months. But then when we made this prototype, first demo version, it was made in several months, that was true, but it wasn't good enough. So we thought that it may be good in the end. The game may be good, but we have to spend more time on developing it. So we spent like 3 more years working on it.
I see. Switching back to the topic of, by the way, of folklore and culture things, do you believe in fairy tales? It's an important question, right? Because it's in your game, so I have to ask this.
Well, it depends, right, on the meaning of the question. So I believe that there was a basis for these fairy tales, like mythology, maybe some rites and ethnographical stuff that these fairy tales reflect. but I'm not a big believer in supernatural or anything like that.
I see. Okay.
So while reading all this scientific literature, you become a skeptic.
I see. Okay. Which one is your favorite, by the way, of all those tales? Personal
favorites. What do you mean favorite?
Like
what?
favorite fairy tale when you were doing the research. Yeah.
Well, my favorites, if I'm speaking about Russian fairy tales, I mostly read Russian fairy tales. My favorite is Ivan Tsarevich and the Grey Wolf, probably. Okay. And we chose Liho because it's a mix of these magical realism stories and fairy tales. And it was interesting to understand what this fairy tale was about. And it's kind of a horror story with body horror elements, right? If you read the original, it's like that. There are dismemberments, eye gouging, you name it.
I see. Okay.
Cannibalism. Yeah.
I see. What about, by the way, the future? Like you mentioned that you would like to keep on going with your ideas and team ideas in order to like make more games. What kind of games can you see in the future that you would like to make that might not end up going back to RPG genre or the genres that you made already? What genres would you like to touch that would be new for you?
Oh man, I want to make everything.
Okay.
I love every genre. I want to make every kind of game. I want to make boomer shooter.
Okay.
I want to make classic RPG, dungeon crawlers, roguelike with text-based like NetHack. Well, I want to make everything. But I don't have time to make everything, right? So you have to pick and choose. Probably our next game will be more like Black Book, but with different mechanics or something. We have to research that, make prototypes. Maybe it will be more tending towards JRPG style of gameplay. Because first prototype of the first Black Book were more like JRPG, and I want to make JRPG about this Russian rural demonology. But I wanted to have one character, one playable character, not a team, and that's why the JRPG didn't really work. And I tried this deck building stuff, and it works.
I see. Okay.
So and then who knows? Maybe my hope is that we'll make this, this backbone like engine that we can leverage for the next projects.
I see.
Even based on Unity engine, but we have this code base that will help us.
I see.
We still have this, but it's not that good. It's not that easy to port to the next project. So I want to have some like a core that I can make RPGs or any games of.
I see. Okay. Since you also mentioned that you are working in a team and you also have your own team, do you believe in perfect synergy between team members, or is it something that develops out throughout working together on a project? Or it's a mix of both?
I think it's a mix, it's a mix.
Okay.
So the more you work with someone, the more you understand each other. That helps. The more the person works on the project, the more he gains the knowledge about inner workings of the game, the code base, the workflows of art creation. But then again, there's a different starting level of each and everyone, right? So,
true.
And I'm not speaking about starting level just in skills, but it's maybe on this kind of chemistry between other team members. And if you have this mix, this match, it's like a piece of a puzzle.
True.
Well, if you try hard enough, you will squash even the most unfitting piece of the puzzles inside the puzzle. But if you're good match from the beginning, it'll help, right? So.
True. You also mentioned at the very beginning of our interview that sometimes you have to work more than 8 hours, right? Because it's a passion project, and sometimes you have to crunch. How do you balance your time when it goes like time for your family, for work, and also for other hobbies?
Well, the only thing that helps me is the schedule. So I have like a rigid schedule. So I work this hour, these hours, then I do this, that, then I pick my child from the kindergarten or something. And well, anything else is like on top of that. So if there's some immediate bug or something, so I have to check it or fix it in the evening or on the weekends. Nowadays, it's not that often actually. It's maybe because of the schedule thing, maybe it keeps like, this balance stuff. And even while working on the Black Book, it was a bit easier than on the Mooseman. But closer to the release, the more hectic stuff happens. And especially like when we launched Black Book, so after we launched, there were several critical bugs that should have been addressed ASAP. So I'm hoping with Lico there will be less critical bugs. Hopefully that'll be all right. Yeah,
we'll see. I see. Switching back to the personal question topics. Have you changed as a person in other territories of your own life by being a game developer? So and if yes, what kind of changes were there in your life in other territories from being a game dev? So what effects did you have from the gaming dev life or game dev life?
Well, I think in many ways, right? But you can't pinpoint it.
Okay.
The thing that comes to my mind is like being more understanding of the industry, right? So when I was just a player, I was very sensitive to game development stuff. Like, for example, there's this game, Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, that was developed for quite some time, and there was this update that they changed, I think, dwarves for something, I don't know, because of the mechanics. And I was really upset, and I wrote on the forum, like, what the hell, I love these dwarves, keep them.
You were this angry person on the internet, right?
Yeah. I told that I really want these dwarves, keep them inside, and let's stop playing the game.
It's passion, right? It's passion about the game. Yeah.
Yeah. So nowadays I'm more like chill about this stuff because I know that many things influence the decision of the developers, and if sometimes developers are even not 100% responsible for their actions because they're being told that you should do that. So I know that can happen, and I'm more chill about that. Being myself a developer, so I'm not angry anymore. Not an angry gamer anymore.
Yeah. Let's see. Any other changes, by the way? Because you mentioned that there can be, or there were more.
I don't know how it changed me personally, right? Maybe I'm not that kind of deep reflective thinker or anything, but it made me a better Dungeons and Dragons player, I think, and Dungeon Master. Yeah.
Okay.
When I started to understand how the mechanics work internally, why the roles are made this and not that, so it's like probabilities of events, and it's making it easier to run these role-playing worlds and play them.
I see. From this topic that you mentioned as an answer to my question, do you believe if players would have a better understanding of video games and how they are made, they won't be that angry over the internet? With your example? Because I believe so. That's why I'm asking you what's your thoughts about it.
Probably for sure. Okay. If you know the kitchen, right, you can understand why something is being made. But then again, the players have their own voice. They want to be heard, and many times they're correct in their anger. You can, as a developer, you can understand why they're angry.
True.
I think in the end it'll be like a balance, and even now, because of this team, it's a positive change, right? They have this rating system. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it's the anger. prevails, and it doesn't benefit anyone.
True.
But sometimes for example, like it may be a like grounded example, but still. So in Black Book, for example, players usually told us in the reviews on the community center what they like, what they don't like, and that helps us, right? So we can fix bugs, we can change the game. For example, if we see, for example, in Black Book, we had this mechanic of puzzle combats. So you have this fixed deck, and you can there's only one like choice. And when we released the game, there wasn't an option to skip that, so it wasn't skippable, and it frustrated a lot of players. Even though I thought it's cool puzzle stuff, and there was a reason because why there are puzzle battles in the game. So I won't go into that probably. So when we learned that players were frustrated, of course, we tried to mitigate that by making this battle skippable, for example. So it helps. It helps both players. They get a better game. It helps developers because they know what the players want, right?
I see. How do you maintain this balance of like sticking to your own vision and team vision, but also like listening to the players' advice and reviews and feedback?
You have to be a sieve, right? You have to read everything and filter out the bad advices. And how exactly? Well, I don't know. You have to know your game, right? You have to know what's better for the game. You have to play this 400 plus hours.
Yeah, like you mentioned at the very beginning. Yeah.
And if you play that much, you understand if the advice is good, right?
True. Yeah, because I feel like I always say this, that I feel like nowadays players' base has too much influence on video games and their development, and I feel like a lot of times like games can end up as players call a failure. I won't say that, because I don't believe in failure games. It's just like it might not satisfy players' need, but I feel like it happens sometimes, especially nowadays a lot of times, because like developers have to listen, or they start to listen too much to players' voice, because these players, like you said, they push their anger too much, right? And it's not helping if they are saying that, hey, your game is shit, right? Nobody, like you said, it's very true, nobody will benefit out of that. If you are down on the line to like be professional on your side as a player and say that, hey, this part is not working or that part is not working, it's more helpful than you say that, hey, this game is shit, right? And nobody should buy it. Like and it's sad, because like it's in my opinion, it's really killing the industry now, and it really pushes a lot of developers to that corner, right? That they have to listen more to the players, which is not true in my opinion, because like you said, and I agree with you on that if you know your game, you have to stick to it, right? Because at the end of the day, you will know what's the best for your project, not the players. And I'm keep saying this all the time, but yeah, I hear a lot of players complaining about no, games should be on our side, we should decide, and I don't agree on that, because like at the end of the day, I rather play a game which is made by the developer and his or her or their choices, rather than players who might not be able to understand the vision, right? Because like there is a quote that if your game will be for everyone, it might end up for no one, right? So
well, I think you have to find a balance, right? So it's not never only developers.
True. I agree. Yeah. But it's a hard balance in my opinion. That's why I said it. Like
and it's harsh. Sometimes it's harsh for the developers, because they spend a lot of times, budgets making the game that they are thinking are good, and it can be over in an instant, right? So you release it, you get unfavorable reviews, and it's with these PC games, especially with linear single player games. So you release it, you see that the numbers are not good, so the game is a failure. You won't be able to come back after that.
True.
It's easier for developers of mobile service games. They can update it, change it, even like reskin it, make it another like iteration or something. So for them, but then again, they have their own difficulties.
True. Yeah, but that's why I said it, that I never believed in the system of like having points when it comes to reviewing games or scores. And also I don't think that, or let's say I feel like a lot of times these games are like being too much criticized because a lot of people are not understanding the vision itself, right? Because it might end up be a fun game for a niche like audience or community, but it might not end up like for the whole, gaming community, which it doesn't have to, right? Because that's the beauty of video games, that there is a game for everyone nowadays, right? You can search and you can find your game as a player.
But if if the player is upset, there is a reason for that. So someone made a mistake. Maybe the marketing division set up expectation that wasn't right. So you see this balance, you have to find it. And if you make this kind of mistake, you have to iterate. And next time, maybe you won't advertise it so that these players that were not your core audience would have come and ruined your review scores or something
True.
Okay, these review scores, I agree, it's not perfect, but it's inevitable. You can't live without them. We as a human beings want to rate everything, want to give names, want to give labels.
I think it comes from our nature as humans that we started to like go under this on this road on long journey of like not being able to express our opinion correctly and in a more educational way. Which I mean by is that we rather give scores rather than giving like honest opinions. Like that's how people end up saying that, hey, this game is good, this game is shit, but they won't say why, right? Because it's easy just to say one word or one score, right? It's a 10 out of 10, it's a 2 out of 10, but it doesn't really like make you like really say what's wrong or what's good about the game, or why do you hate it or why do you love it. Also, I feel like a lot of players nowadays are, and I've seen it with my own eyes in the video game journalist industry, like I told you before our interview, and also from the player's perspective as well, that I had so many people around me who were like not playing through the game at all, but they were saying that it was shit. And it's crazy to me. How can you criticize a game which you were not playing and saying it's bad? Like, it's not fair, right? It's not fair from any point. Not fair against the developers or the publishers, and also not fair from like your own player base. It's crazy to me because and I feel like it's more of those people are coming together, and it's the same side, right? Because they're giving scores because they don't want to talk about games, and they're also like rushing or not playing through games because they don't have the time, and they are like based on this TikTok scrolling, live, that's, hey, 1 second, influence from a video, and you scroll down, and that's how these people end up not playing through like 100 hours JRPGs, because like it's getting boring to them. But they will rate like 5 out of 10 because, it's too long to play to me. And yeah, it's too long because it was intended to be too long. It's a JRPG, come on. And that's why I said that I feel like most of the times I see that a lot of people are criticizing games because they do not understand it. Like you said by yourself as well, that you were angry, but when you realize that why it could happen, you realize that, hey, maybe they had to do it, right? And and also true what you said is that you were passionate, that's why you got angry. So it's a balance of those.
Yeah, of course. I don't have answers to all the questions that you
no
right?
sorry I'm passionate. It's
tough for the developers, it's tough for the players, they want the best, and
it's hard at the end of the day, and I'm too much of a guy who has this passion of like changing the industry for the better, because I feel like all this like, I don't know, this industry has changed a lot in for the worse, for the good reasons as well, but for the worse as well, because there's too much hate and there is too much misunderstanding. So yeah, but hopefully one day we will see like right. And okay. You also mentioned that you still play video games. What kind of video games do you play nowadays, and how do you stay away from those games not to be influenced when it comes to your projects, or you always want to get influenced from other projects?
Well, I like all the video games, all the types of video games.
Okay. I can relate to that, by the way.
Yeah, and it's difficult to not, play too much, actually. So if that's why I stay from the games like, I don't know, like Crusader Kings 3, for example,
Okay,
or
okay.
Civilization or Battle Brothers, because I can launch this game
They are time
and
consuming,
like,
right?
yeah, it's 80 hours. Like,
Yeah, just pass the
say
way.
goodbye to this 80 hours.
Yeah,
I play many demo versions because I can afford that. You don't have to buy the game,
true,
and
true,
you
true.
get at least your first opinion about the game. Like,
True.
for example, Next Fest. I play horror games as a reference. I do that. So I play to be influenced by them. For example, like masterpieces like Visage or Medicine or PT, and of course, like Capcom horrors, Konami horrors, of course. Play them for that reason, maybe just to make a reference, in my game for some iconic stuff like this corridor from PT turn into the right. Yeah. So, what was the questions again?
So how
What
do
did
you?
you ask?
So do you always like stay influenced by the games that you play, or you try to avoid being influenced too much?
Well, I
by the
don't.
games
I
you
don't
play?
try to forget it. I try to like get all this experience, rearrange it somehow, and put it inside my game.
I see.
Take the best parts that I think are the best, and keep out the bad part, not bad, but unfitting parts. Let's say.
I see. I see.
But as I said, I play different genres, so I can't fit everything into a horror game.
True,
right?
true. Like you don't want to make a multi-genre game, right? Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of the topic of horror and your current game that you're working on, what's the basic core story of your game? Let's talk about that. So, just for the players to know, with a brief description about your story or the story of your new game that will be coming out.
So in a couple of words, it's like a Firewatch, but it's a horror game.
Okay.
So this basically describes it like a horror, like a Firewatch made by A24 horror director, like Ari Aster, for example.
Okay.
Or Robert Eggers. So and the dynamic is like that. So it's a walking simulator. You explore the surroundings, and you like get to know the story behind this fairy tale. And simultaneously you experience all this fairy tale that was in the base. So the fairy tale itself is simple one. There is a smith. It's not a surname, it's like a profession. So there's a smith,
Okay.
and he goes searching for this liho, and in Russian it means like evil fate or something. So he says, I never saw this liho, and the fairy tale states it like that. I'll go search for some liho. And then the story unfolds like a tradition of this motif. So it turned out that this One-Eyed Liho fairy tale is based on the motif numbered by the folklorists 1137. It's a motif called the blinding of Nogor. That's what we discovered when we started researching this game. And it goes back to the Odyssey of Homer and possibly even earlier to the prehistoric times. There are several researchers that state that Homer only wrote down the folk tale that was like moving around during that ancient Greek times. And this story traveled all around the world, this blinding of an ogre motif, all different continents, different countries. And in Russia, it settled in several fairy tales. One of the most prominent is this One-Eyed Liho fairy tale. So when we started working on the game, we didn't know anything about that. I thought that it's just like a cool horror folk tale. But when I learned about that, I wanted to incorporate it in the game so that the players will also learn that this motif is like multicultural, right? So
I see.
maybe there's something more to the story than just these horror elements like slasher thingies. So there is this backbone of the story that there's this motive that travels around. So what does it mean? And there's this Liho, this evil fate, or this ogre from this folkloric motif, the blinded ogre. So who is he, right? So what was his purpose? And the game gives its own statement. Who is this ogre? So yeah, basically that's what the game is about. So you travel at this smith, you encounter all the events of this motif, like going inside the living space of this ogre, encountering this ogre, then running away from him, and etc. So you can check it out in the game, or check out the folkloric catalogs. So in Arne Thompson catalog is 1137. The Ogre Blinded in English literature, I think is called.
I see. When it comes to this game, what was the inspiration or influence behind the art style of the game itself?
Could you please repeat that? I think I lost the connection.
Yeah, sure. So what was the influence and the inspiration behind the art style of One-Eyed Liko?
The art style?
Yes.
We decided first, when we decided to make this game, we thought that, all right, let's make it black and white. Let's make it 4:3, like film aspect ratio. And the inspiration was The Lighthouse, of course, by Eggers. And also we wanted to cut corners, because making black and white and stylized is easier than making a true realistic game.
I see.
So we thought it'll fit like a small project, right? Black and white. And then we started developing the game, and more into development, we understood that 4:3 and like this heavily stylized version won't like fit the needs of the game, because the game got bigger. So we started unwrapping all these stylized decisions. We removed this 4:3 aspect ratio. We removed different post effects. We removed low poliness. So now it's more like a realistic game, but still we kept black and white to make it memorable, because it fits horror. It's like a nod to like old horrors of the black and white era, and to Russian horror V, about this evil witch that raises from the dead from the Soviet time.
Okay. You also mentioned, by the way, at the beginning of our interview, that there is always something that can be cut out from their projects themselves if something is not working, right? Was there anything throughout the journey of developing this current game that needed to be cut out? And if your answer is yes, could you reuse some of those assets or mechanics or anything that you had to cut out at a later date?
Yeah, so different times, different stuff was cut. Some small, some big. Small, I don't quite remember, but there were two big decisions. So first, the idea was not just like a fairy tale. First, we thought that, all right, it'll be like a fairy tale, but it'll be like cut into pieces like an old film. So this is the part of the artistic decision. So this game, Immortality, right? So you get different pieces of the movie, you stitch them together. And we thought something like that could be cool. So there's this fairy tale with different maybe versions from different cultures. It's like a different cuts, and you can rearrange them, and there'll be like a whole story or something. So we made this mechanic that you can travel from the world of fairy tale to some kind of a lab, right, in the modern world.
I see.
So there was like PC, a terminal PC, kind of like 80s looking PC that you can enter. There were different nodes, you can interact with them, you can enter the codes and get into the different parts of the story. So we made all that. This terminal stuff was kind of cool. The implementation is funky. There's like CRT effects and stuff like that. Like in some games do that for terminal. So we had to cut it because it didn't work. So this whole terminal idea it was terminal.
I see.
So we had to cut
terminated.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Terminated this idea.
Yeah.
And now we're sticking to the story more contained.
I see.
But we still have the code base for this PC stuff, and maybe we'll make a small game in style like recently was a free game called Clay People, I think.
Okay.
Small horror game. So you have this computer and you can interact with it, and it's kind of like a work atmosphere. You have some tasks that you have fulfill, and maybe you have to learn more about some creepy stuff, like creepy artifacts. So maybe we'll make something like that from that cut part of the game. That was one big decision. It was made, hopefully, luckily, early in the development during the pre-production. So then we started to make the game like it is now. And the other, we had a bigger scope. So we wanted to make like this story from the blinded ogre, and we wanted to add some different like levels from different fairy tales that you can, like from a hub, from this go from different. Like there is a golden kingdom, silver kingdom, and brazen kingdom in Russian fairy tales. So we thought about, it will be cool to make like a golden level or something where there'll be a different motif that you can interact with. And we made one, the Golden Kingdom. There was even several versions of Golden Kingdom. First, there was like idea with the fairy tale about an eagle that's like a boss. You will find him, go back to the Slicho stuff. And the other idea was like it'll be like a barren liminal remains of this Golden Kingdom, and you will drive a car through that stuff while solving several small puzzles. So we made both of these ideas kind of playable, but both were cut because they didn't work in the end. So this motif of the blinded ogre seems kind of rigid. You can fit anything to it to make it fun. So it had to be thrown away. And I don't know about this car mechanic. Should it go to some other game? Maybe not. Probably not.
See. Okay. We touch here, by the way, a lot of topics, and I'm very thankful for your honesty about the topics. And before I ask some more questions, are you down on the line to answer some questions from my community as well? Before I ask some more questions, sure. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, don't forget to check out the games that our friend here made with his team, and also let us know if there is any question. Okay, let me bigger up my chat. Okay, Angel is asking, let me translate it. So Angel is asking, what is the genre that is easiest for you? I'm not sure if developing or playing, but let's ask both questions. And what is the hardest genre? Play and develop. As from the player's perspective and as from the developer's perspective.
Well, from the developer's perspective, probably the easiest is to develop is code heavier, like genres, like RPG, for example. Okay. There's a lot of code involved, and since I have a coder background, programmer's background, it's kind of easy. I know what to do, how to implement stuff, how to make it work, and it was easy when I was making Black Book to code up everything.
I see. And
it's harder with Liho because I don't know what to do with this. I didn't know what to do now. At least I have some knowledge after finishing the game. It was hard. But there are a lot of genres that I didn't try yet, right? So, sure. I don't know, like transport Chicken Deluxe.
Still on the list, right?
Yes. Yes, maybe that will be harder. I should try it.
Maybe next game. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. So as for the player, I don't know. I like RPGs, so that's no brainer for me. Hard to play. Maybe theme games like where's heavy simulation. I don't really enjoy that kind of games.
I see.
Personally, maybe that's the answer.
Thank you for the question and answer as well. Thank you. Hordo Wiscan, by the way, said in the chat, edit demo to the library. Thank you for that. Okay, let us know, ladies and gentlemen, let us know if there is any more question. Hölgyek, urak, bármilyen kérdés? Any question? Any more question? Let me scroll back the chat. I might miss. Okay. Any more question, ladies and gentlemen? Any more question? Bármilyen más kérdés? Let us know. While we are waiting, by the way, for questions, since you chose the horror as a genre for this current project of yours, what kind of core elements are there in order to scare players or have that feeling of being scared and alone in the game? If you can talk about that a bit.
Yeah, so the main element is the atmosphere, I think.
Okay.
So we got some experience with creating an atmosphere with the Black Book and the Mooseman, so we use that in Liho. And this, in this A24 horrors, they're usually not that much of jump scares, right? So the key element of these movies are the atmosphere of dread, something inevitable that's lurking in the shadows that will happen in any case. So we try to achieve in the game this as well. So the atmosphere and something like cosmic, even like a cosmic horror being that's lurking somewhere and has its own incomprehensible goals. And so we try to do that. And it works well with this motif of finding out what these fairy tales are about, right? So we don't know what these fairy tales are about, not really. And we don't know what this evil being wants really. Is it really evil? What does it want?
So it's like the players always have to question, right? What's happening?
Well, yeah, in some sense, but still we're trying our best to explain everything.
It's understandable. It's just the technique for the methodical elements of having this scary
I'm not a big fan of this psychological horrors that have random stuff going on.
Okay.
So I try in the game to be more rational. So
grounded answers.
The stuff that's going on is crazy. It's mythological. It's fairy tale, but there's kind of like a reason for everything that's going on based on the game lore. So we try to achieve that.
I see. Okay. Oh yeah, Angel said that he's waiting for translation for the game Black Book. Yeah. He would like to have Hungarian translation in the game, yeah.
It's kind of difficult because it has 150,000 words. So we nearly got broke when we translated it into several languages that it is now.
I see. Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? Any more questions? Bármilyen más kérdés? Any more questions? Let us know. Any more questions? Bármilyen más kérdés, hölgyek, urak? Let me again share the Steam page of One-Eyed Lico so people can check it out. Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? Let us know. Bármilyen más kérdés? If there is no question, then I will ask my closing questions, but let us know if there is any question. So, by the way, what I wanted to ask, from all the knowledge that you now have a bag as a video game developer, what would be your advice, by the way? I know it's a common question, but it's also important, in my opinion, to ask this. What would be your advice for video game developers, even for starters, even for those who are veterans? What would be your thoughts? Rather, let's say thoughts, not advice, but thoughts about.
Yeah. So first of all, be careful, all right, because there's a lot of competition nowadays. So I'm keeping this, looking at these posts on Reddit. So people are asking, I have this steady job. Should I quit it for game development? So probably the answer is right now is no. You should keep your own job and try making the game in your spare time.
I see.
It was even in my case. So the first game, The Mooseman, that was like published by Martyoshka, by my company, I was making it in my spare time. So, and the second thought is that probably if you're not sure if you can make a video game, and if you want to or wanted, you can give it a try if you're not 100% sure in your skill set, because you can learn as you go. And nowadays it's even easier to make video games than it was when I started out, because you have all these tutorials on YouTube. I didn't have anything of that. You have these LLM models that you can discuss everything with, and they'll help you. It's still not easy, right? So you'll have difficulties, but if you want to, you can try. Not anyone keeping this world of game development from you. Maybe it'll work.
True.
Maybe you'll be next Toby Fox or something. Who knows?
Very true. By the way, because you mentioned and we talked about this topic of like learning by books and by old school like elements of knowledge and educational methods, or like these kinds of methods that you mentioned nowadays that people mostly use, which is better with your opinion to learn?
Well, it helps if you have like a rigid academic background.
Okay.
So I personally learned mathematics in university, in college.
Okay.
So it's easier for me to get these programming stuff. It was easier when I started, even not at the young age.
Okay.
So I think if you want to start making games, just make games, right? So if you want, if you feel that you're lacking something like, I don't know, algorithms, then only then start learning algorithms.
I see.
It probably won't help. It will help if you learn first algorithms and then start developing a game, but it's not a necessity. You first get some tasks that you want to accomplish, and then get the means to accomplish these tasks.
I see. Okay. Horde of Viscount is asking, if you could give yourself advice when you first started this project, what advice would you give? It's similar to my question, but a bit different.
Project like the Liho, or just,
no, the very first project.
The very
yes.
first?
Yeah, the very first. What would be the advice for yourself?
What advice? Right, so that's a good question, and I don't have a good answer. What would I?
What would you change? We can go by that question too, because it's similar. What would you change if you could change anything? Now creating your first project that you now see different.
Well, maybe. I don't know. This first project, you see, I was working on it at the Mooseman, right? So I was working at spare time, and I didn't cut anything. So I just worked it like a straight road. So probably I got this plan, and I stuck to this plan. There wasn't much of a cut content like in Liho or in Black Book. So I couldn't change much. If I changed anything, the game wouldn't appear probably. It would have been another game. Could I have changed anything for the better so that the game would have been better? I don't know actually. So probably yes, but I don't know for sure. So maybe I should have found some team members, another team member. Maybe I should have found a publisher. But it worked out in the end, and I don't know if I made that decision, it will be a better game in the end.
I see.
So I don't know what advice should I give to myself. Maybe work more. You lazy developer.
even more, right?
Yeah.
Even more. Not 12 hours, but all day, right? Don't sleep. Sleep is for the weak.
Stop playing this Crusader Kings game. Make the video.
Very true. Thank you, by the way, for the next question and answer as well. Thank you. Angel said that one of the games were free on Epic, but he bought it on Steam because it's a very good game, and he sends his regards and congratulations to you. And also,
thank you.
So best luck wishes to the future projects. Thank you for that. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
We touched here a lot of topics, by the way. Is there anything that you would like to touch or to talk about that we might not end up talking about, or I might not ask about before I ask a closing question?
First of all, I wanted to thank you for talking from the developer's perspective. So it's not a lot of players actually interested in the developers behind the games. I don't think that's a bad thing, but it's still maybe for someone it'll be interesting, right?
I hope so.
Struggle as developers.
I hope so.
Yeah, so like thank you for that.
Thank you.
And what should I talk? I don't know, actually. So it talks about most of the important stuff, I believe. There's a lot of stuff to be discussed, but it's not like a quick and out of the blue topic. So.
Let me know if there is any topic. I'm down to talk about any topic that you would like to mention that you think it's important to talk about.
I think that we talked about most of the important stuff. Maybe I should give a shout out to the music in the game as well, while we have still a bit of time. So Mikhail Shvachko, who wrote the music for Black Book and the Movement, still works with me, and he wrote the music for this game. And it's interesting because he made music instruments specifically for the game. Oh. It's called Lechan Vush. So this is like a Komi-Zerian instrument. It looks kind of like a guitar or violin or something in mix. And in this trailer, the last one with the release date, you can hear it at the beginning and in the arrangement when the choral music starts. So shout outs to him for the great music and instrument, and also the song that is in the trailer. It was written specifically for the game, and the words are about the game. So it's about the smith, about the liho, how it blinds liho. So it's not like a random folk song, but it's a folk sounding song that was written specifically for the game, and it's performed by the Perm, the city where I come from, the Perm students of Perm College of Arts and Culture. So Mikhail composed the music. We had a girl composing the lyrics, and this choir sings this music, and it's like handcrafted specifically for the story of the game about this Liho and Smith.
Very nice. I appreciate that, by the way, because I remember when I first saw the trailer and heard the song, it really catched my ears, and I was vibing to it. Like, it really resonates with the old school folklore music of Slavic culture, and you guys totally nailed it, in my opinion. So it's a very nice thing to have a very unique and handcrafted song, in my opinion. And also like musical instrument, like it's crazy good. Yeah.
And this song plays its part in the game, so if
I
anyone
appreciate
listening
that.
will play the game,
I knew it.
you'll
It will be in the
encounter
game.
this song.
I knew it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Thank you, by the way. And my closing question would be, because we talked here a lot of topics about, but like we also touched the message part, right? And you said that there are some times when like there is no strict message from a creator itself. But if you would happen to be on that road that you summarize all of your games, what would be that message or that feeling or that thought that you always wanted to have for the players with your creations and with your team creations?
Well, there are several. So first that I was thinking about when I started is that some topics that are usually thought of by like a guy consuming popular media are not that fun. So they're actually fun. So this animal style, this demon stories, these fairy tales, they're not just for the kiddies, right? So there is something cool about them, and some cool video games can be made out of them. So I wanted to show by my example that it can be done. So you can take something niche, but that's something that you like, and that you can make a video game out of that. And the other thought that, or a kind of message, is like there is a deeper meaning behind these stories that still are told. These fairy tales, these myths that like clambered up until this day. These demon stories, there's something about them, and we can like do our creative work to try to understand what was the meaning in the end, and maybe not understand, but maybe create our own new meaning by making these games and playing them.
I see.
The end.
I see. An extra question that I wanted to ask from the beginning of our interview, that why do you think nowadays in a lot of countries people forget about cultural like heritage and cultural things and folklore? Why do you think it's happening as a common thing in our world, in our society? Because it feels like it's a growing problem nowadays that people are interested but still forget about it.
Well, I'm not really sure that it's the case, actually, because, for example, in Russia, there's a lot of media on the Slavic topics.
Russia, I agree. In Russia, they still consume a lot of like folklore, like vibed craft. But for example, here in Hungary, most of the Hungarians are like forgetting all the Hungarian folklore, and especially in Europe, it's happening pretty much. So I agree that in Russia it stayed very true that people like learn from the school till the university, and parents give these folklore stories to their kids and children. It's true. I agree on that. But in some parts of the world, it's happening. It's going upside down, and I see like the missing point that people have in their life, like not staying to their folklore anymore.
In Russia, it even gets on the other like pole. So everyone is sick of this Russian stuff. Everyone wants something global. So, so what's the reason? Well, I think globalization is a part of that. So everything popular is like generic fantasy or something, and it's lucrative because it's high budget and. Make something similar in the end when this generic like
true
media.
Yeah, but that's how forget about the cultural heritage and to the country that they were born, right? So and a bad thing to see that people like, for example, like a lot of people do not even know now. Days like grown-ups do not even know the Hungarian, which is sad to me to realize. I think it should be like future, because that's how we will be able to understand where we were born to, right? As Hungarians, or any country, right? And it matters at the end.
Well, I think you should wait for that will popularize this theme or something.
Yeah.
It'll be popular. You have a great basis, like Hungarian.
True. Yeah, that's why I wanted to say that the country is just like people forget about it, and the art.
So when I made Musman, actually, I listened to Hungarian choirs, and it was a big inspiration for me.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, by the way. Thank you for your honesty about every topic and making such awesome games. Thank you for that, and thank you so much, and thank you for the questions from the chat as well. I appreciate that you guys tuned into this episode of Dev Live Show. And don't forget, promotion time, right? Promotion matters, like we discussed it at the very beginning. Don't forget to check out
Yeah,
true. Don't forget to wishlist One-Eyed Lico, and also check out other games. And be on the lookout for other games in the future. Who knows what kind of games the future will hold, right, to the players.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. Like I said, I will need some more of your minutes of stream, but for those who are watching us live here on Twitch, or will be watching back the unedited and also the edited version of our interview on YouTube, thanks for tuning in, everyone. And also don't forget, like I said, to wishlist One-Eyed Lico. Be on the lookout for future projects from our friend and his team. And yeah, have a great day or night or evening, depending where you live. Bye everyone. Bye.